Hello again, everyone. I'm JJ Conway, and I want to welcome you to Change Your World. This is part of a groundbreaking movement around the world that launches 26 January with the release of John Maxwell's latest book, Change Your World. Now, before I get into Change Your World, I want to talk a little bit about building wealth together and what we are and what we're not. Building wealth together is not a get rich quick group. What we are is a get rich right group. Now there's many ways that are legit to get rich, okay? And what we focus on is how to empower individuals to achieve their goals, improve their lives, and achieve their best financial use using education, walking according to ethics, and holding each other accountable. Okay, so what we offer to people are financial investment and entrepreneurial education. We are building wealth together. We are solutions, not a sales pitch. Okay, and so we have moved our meeting time. Our meeting time for 5.5 years has been well, actually, no, I take that back. The first 2 years, it was every Thursday. It was every first Thursday night, right? But now, then for 4 years, it was every first Saturday. Well, now, starting now, with the change in my lifestyle and the moving to Texas and retiring from the Air Force, we are now locked in on the third Saturday of the month. Those meetings are always going to be free, okay? Now, those meetings are free, but there are benefits to membership, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about that for those of you who want. We are not doing an open mic right now because now that I've split it out, I haven't really worked everything out with the sponsors to figure out who's sponsoring which group, right? So for this year, everybody's sponsoring everything. But what I am going to do real quick is I'm going to just flash the logos and give you a description of our sponsors. But I didn't tell them about the new time. So I don't think any of them, wait, let me just check my comments. I don't think any of our sponsors are online because they're used to meeting an hour later. So we split the groups and we started it an hour earlier. Okay. So we've got Architects Leadership Institute. We've got my son, Philly Bob the PK, his little YouTube channel. We've got Hand Ups, Not Handouts, Flutter by Nature's Oils, who is a lifetime sponsor because they helped us so much get started. And then we have Steel Bayou, Voice Talent with Strength and Soul. All right. So now we're going to get into this content of Change Your World. And you may have noticed, even though this is a global transformation movement, you may have noticed that I titled the mastermind, A Mastermind for Entrepreneurs Who Want to Make Money Making a Difference. This is about more than just money, okay? This is a movement to make a real impact on a world that truly needs us. I really do live and believe by what Zig Ziglar said, that you can have anything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want out of life, okay? And so usually at Building Wealth Together, we talk about business strategies that enhance your success. And indeed, everybody who completed the Countdown to Your Best Year Ever class grew their business and their profit in 2020. Despite COVID, despite civil unrest in this nation, they succeeded, and so can you. Okay, now if you missed our countdown that we just finished for 2021, go now to buildingwealthtogether.com and get registered as soon as you can. Okay, it's free. It'll take you like 2 seconds to register. It's free till 31st of January. But this today has life-changing potential. So I want you to listen. I want you to take notes, obviously, but there's something deeper than just listening and taking notes. I would like for you to say to yourself and ask yourself this question: is this my time? Is this my moment? Because you see, all great leaders can point back to a time or a moment when there was a change from a positive decision that follows us the rest of our life. Now, I've never been one who believes that just one decision makes or breaks you, right? But I am one who believes that there are times, such as this time for some of you, that you can look back 5, 8, 10 years from now and say, you know what? Yeah, I listened to JJ, I took notes, but that was the day that God spoke to me. That was the day when I sensed that this was my moment. In fact, I want to talk to you today about changing your world. And if I was going to use a title, I would title it today, This is Our Time. Now, my journey is pretty simple. I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference, doing something that makes a difference at a time when it makes a difference. This is a time when it makes a difference. Our time, your time, my time, our time is now. And I don't want to miss my time. There are a lot of things as a leader I may not get right. That is for sure, right? But I can tell you one thing, I don't want to miss my leadership time. And I can remember when I was in the hospital after that car accident, I was unable to get my sentences out. They would ask me a question and it took me a while to form the answer, and I would form the answer and I would try to get it out of my mouth. And by the time I was trying to get it out of my mouth, they were asking me something else and I was getting frustrated. And I remember for a couple of hours, I wondered if I was done for, if I was going to be a vegetable for the rest of my life. And when I regained my cognition, there was a sense of gratitude for life, yes, but more than just living. I believe that my life was extended because my purpose was not yet complete. Well, now, I look back at that time and I realize that my life was spared for this time. See, this is my time, and it's your time. But what's more exciting to me than to have my time as a leader is for us to have our time. Because if it was just my time, okay, it's going to be good. Like if it's just my time, it would be good. Okay, sure, it'll be good. But you can't do anything great on your own. Let me say that again. A lot of you who my audience are people that, they can do good on their own. They can do good. They accomplish a lot. But we'll never have the same level of impact doing something by ourselves. And when it's our time, whatever's good for me, whatever's good for you, when we become a community of leaders who step forth, now it becomes great, not good. Good is okay. Good is good, but we want great. I'm so excited. So John Maxwell said, in every age, there comes a time when a leader must come forward to meet the needs of an hour. Therefore, there's no potential leader who does not have the opportunity to make a positive difference in society. I love that there's no potential leader that doesn't find his or her opportunity. But here's the tragic part about that. Tragically, there are times when no leader rises to the hour. I don't want to be that person. There are times when no leader rises up to the hour. And I never want my name to be in that sentence, y'all. I don't want my name to be in that last sentence. I want my name to be in the first part of that quote. A leader who has found the right time. Recently, John did a training called Seize the Season. In fact, I think it was one of those things where he was kind of being a little silly, but then it stuck, right? And he said, you just need to be seasoned Caesars. You're seasoned Caesars. We seize the season. I'm thinking about pizza. He's talking about season the season, right? But really, it's here and we're seizing it. And I want to talk to you about that a little bit because the word seize is powerful word. So we're entering into this season, and you change your world when you take it opportunity presented to you by the season. We are now entering into a time that we need to be seizing the season. So are you a seasoned Caesar? Are you going to go out there and grab it? I don't want anyone under the sound of my voice to miss our time. And now think to a year ago, okay? We're in January. Who would have thought January, the first month of the year 2020, that we were going to experience COVID-19, social isolation, unemployment, global recession, school and business lockdown, racial division, protest over injustice, and the election. I mean, all of these things just highlight our differences. And none of us would have predicted it. It's just shocking all year. We were shocked, right? We're not, and it's not just those of us in the United States, it's the whole world. The whole world is going through this shock and the reverberation and all the little aftershocks, okay? And you look at how fast it amazes me how fast it's been. It was started off gradual, but it's not gradual anymore, man. Everything is happening. Oh, it's happening on such a basis. Now, in America, I'm going to use as an illustration because that's where I live. Everybody knows about 9/11, right? Everybody knows that after 9/11, our congressman got on the steps and everybody held hands and said, God bless America. We all showed unity, Democrats, Republicans, independents, everybody. That was in 2001. So 20 years later, we're not holding hands. We're shaking our fists. We're not united. We're divided. And honestly, that makes me incredibly sad. And I want to go to the roots of this for a moment. How did we get here? And I'm going to tell you how we got here. And I want you to know, because I think it's part of knowing the context and the process of why we are where we are today that creates an urgency within us to do something about it. I think there's something about awareness that creates urgency in my life and in your life. Okay. So political scientist Alan Wolf in 2001, he wrote this book called Moral Freedom, and he interviewed thousands and thousands of people that lived in America. And he came to the conclusion that Americans lived in a state of what he called moral freedom. And he defined moral freedom as the belief that life is best when each individual finds his or her own morality. That sounds like a very American value, doesn't it? Now I know we've got we have an international reach. So I don't know who all's listening today, but I know for my country, that is absolutely an American value, right? Well, it brings with it an inevitable result of highlighting individual freedom above community. So you see, moral freedom has some assumptions to it, some very simple assumptions like this. If everybody does their own thing, then everything will work out for everybody. That's an assumption, and it's not true. Here's another one. If I pursue my own economic self-interest, the economy will thrive for all. That's an assumption. I haven't seen that to be true. Okay. Now, let me qualify there. At Building Wealth Together, we believe that there is enough for everybody. But we believe that there's enough for everybody and that there's an abundance for everybody. But we also believe in working together. Okay. Here's another one. If I choose my own family style, then all children will prosper. Or if I choose my own moral code, we'll all be decent to one another. Y'all, you have already seen this. The result of moral freedom is selfishness. Basically, moral freedom is where I determine focus on me, and my interest in me are more important than you. And so it leads to selfishness until I want to put my rights above your rights. And I mean, after all, this is the way I believe it. This is the way I believe, and this is the way to do it. You see, that creates a selfishness, which is all about me, instead of significance, which is focusing on other people. So here's my conclusion. All right. My conclusion is that this is helping us understand where we are today, and more importantly, why we are today. Okay. This is why we so desperately need to have an avenue of transformation where we can learn and live good values. What we need in this world situation, and I'm not using the word good as a moral judgment on anybody else, but we need to look at values that allow us to rise above the fray so that we can move forward in our lives and so that we can change the direction of our family trees and our communities. Okay. I want maximum freedom for me, right? Like, if I really press that, you know what that means, right? It means if I have maximum freedom for me, it might mean less freedom for you, right? And so if I put maximum value on JJ, there's a tendency for me to put less value on you. It's all about me, right? But in that case, the model starts to fall apart because the world is composed of others. And so you can see that moral freedom has basically emphasized that I increase. And I didn't say it's the automatic response, but the cultural value is if I increase, well, guess what? You'll decrease. And that's where the great divide begins. And that's why I am such a big believer in building wealth together. You and I should be increasing together. Okay. That's where abundance comes from. But there's moral freedom, cultural value that I increase. That means you have to decrease. And that's where this divide begins. This is where divide begins. So personal freedom has become our greatest value, and we put it above. Now, again, I'm saying we. I know I have an international audience, but I'm primarily talking to America right now, right? We put it above everything else. And when I put personal freedom above everything else, trust begins to fall. And what we're going to discover in the next couple of minutes is trust is at the core of making things work in society. And the more we trust, the more trust we have, the better things work. And the less trust we have, the less effective. Back in 1964, here in America, 77% of Americans trusted federal government. I know some of you are laughing right now. 30 years later, by 1994, 20% of Americans trusted federal government. So what happened in those 30 years between 64 and 94? And you notice I'm using slightly older data because I don't want you to just dismiss this point because of, young people don't trust anybody right now in this world. No. These are your boomers and Gen Xers. These are the people that have trust and integrity and hallmark of traditional values, right? But think about what happened in those 30 years. We had Vietnam, all right? Found out the government wasn't telling us the truth. Watergate, which was even worse because, that meant the highest nation and our leader wasn't trustworthy. Today that's kind of become commonplace, I'm not just talking about the current administration, but, it's just kind of a thing now. But in 94, that wasn't a thing. In 64, that wasn't a thing, okay? So think about it now, 70%. In 2014, 70% of the people in America believe that most people couldn't be trusted. And you see what happens then, there's a lowering of trust. It works its way through society. And as we begin to lower the trust of institutions, then it begins a waterfall effect that covers our entire world. And it doesn't stop there. The moment we begin to start that trust slide, it's only a matter of time until I won't trust you and you won't trust me. You see, it's not possible for me to have an untrustworthy feeling about many things and keep a trustworthy feeling towards you. Trust determines behavior. And now that's a fact. Social trust, right? Social trust is this expectation that other people are going to do what they ought to do most of the time. That's what social trust is. It's the feeling that you're going to do what you ought to do most of the time. And I say most of the time, not all the time, because come on, we're human, right? Most of the time, you're going to do the right thing. Most of the time. Well, social trust fails when other people do what they want to do instead of what they ought to do. And most of the time, and social ties it generalized faith, right? It's a general faith about people in your community, and it begins with assumptions that we are interdependent, so we need each other, and our destinies are linked. It assumes we share the same moral values. Now, I've led all my life, okay, and sometimes I've made a few mistakes, right? But I've led all my life, and I understand what trust means to a team, to a culture, to a society. Okay, it's not. Here's what I want you to catch. So whatever matters to you right now, whatever matters to me, whatever matters to human beings right now, trust is the atmosphere in which it thrives. What matters to me the most, the things that are the most important to me, they thrive best in a trusting culture and a trusting atmosphere. And what we have found is very simple. The unfortunate reality of it is the most marginalized people in our culture are the ones who have the lowest trust factor. So in America, the research shows that it's African Americans. Research study reported only 15% of African Americans believe that people can be trusted. And when you go across all races, so, we've got the highest, I guess you could call it the lowest scoring group when it comes to trust in America. All right. And we're not going to debate the reasons. Okay. Whatever your opinion on that is, I have my opinion, that's for sure. Across all races, our lower and middle class and the working poor, which is 40% of our country, y'all, 70% believe that people can't be trusted. The lower middle class and the working poor, who are insecure about their financial place in society, insecure about their role in society, insecure about how they can financially make it in society. And then what's all this more challenging is, the people who need to work together to pull themselves up have a very low expectation that you can trust anybody to work together. And here's where it gets more challenging. So I used data from 64 and 94, right? But look at this. 10% of millennials believe that people can be trusted. In fact, 71% of millennials believe that everybody's going to take advantage of you if they get a chance. So the people who most need in their lives, our next generation of leaders and our lower middle class and our working poor, the people who most need to build ecosystems of trust in order to change their world are the people who are least likely to be able to trust each other and lift themselves up. All right. Stay with me on this journey for just a couple of minutes because I'm going to put it all together for you. All right. Moral freedom without values creates insecurity. That's the effect. You give any person, and especially somebody young, moral freedom, but you don't teach them values, it will create insecurity. And what we have in our culture today is an identity insecurity. Now, let me read something for you. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. All the traits that were once assigned to you by your community, now you must determine on your own. Your identity, morality, your gender, your vocation, your purpose, and the path to becoming yourself. This becomes a major anxiety-inducing act of young adulthood. A result of that is that we begin to seek validation from others. And I think we've seen that, okay? I think we've seen that a lot in our lives. We've seen that especially through social media. Since I'm trying to find my own way and I'm not finding it, well, I've got to have somebody that validates my self-worth. So I go to social media and I want to make sure I get a whole bunch of likes. And all of a sudden, I got to make sure people like me because it validates me, right? For many people, it is impossible to actually think about something without simultaneously thinking about other people would think about what you're thinking. 81% of folks under 30 feel anxious, depressed, lonely, or hopeless at least one day a week. Better values on the inside, let me tell you, require less validation on the outside. Once I know who I am and I have lived and embraced and fleshed good value out of my life, to be honest with you, your validation of me is not nearly as important because I already embrace good values and I have discovered self-worth. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the likes. I like the loves. I like the wow faces. I like the comments. I like seeing the numbers. I love all the shares. If everybody shares this to, a friend or two friends, I'm going to be a very happy camper, but it does not determine my self-worth. Fewer values on the inside require more validation on the outside. And that's why we have got to be bigger on the inside than we are on the outside. I'm bigger on the inside than I'm on the outside, and I'm pretty big on the outside. I'm solid, yeah. But no, on the inside, I'm solid. And that's why I am so thrilled about this, because I remember a time when I wasn't. I remember a time when I wasn't solid on the inside. It didn't matter how many accolades I had behind my name. I still wasn't solid on the inside. And because I've walked that journey, I know that there can be transformation, and I know that change is possible. And the thing is, once we begin to do these relationships and once we begin to bring about this transformation in our lives, our families' lives, and in our communities, it expands and grows. And then the trust levels grow, and then your abundance grows. Okay, so in the transformation and in this change your world process, we're values centric. Okay, and I love, there's this thing. Some of y'all have seen the pictures I did of my son. So we live, we're kind of out a little ways from town, and so it's about a good hour and a half to get to Dallas for stuff. So what I've started doing is whenever I take my son and his friends somewhere, we pull out the John Maxwell books. And at first, my son was so embarrassed, but his friends love it, right? And so there's the I Lead program that we do for students in school. So year 1 is I Choose, about choosing good values. Year 2, I Do, about do good values, right? And year 3, I Lead with good values, right? And so I'm still, we keep moving. So I haven't even gotten past I Choose yet. But I really feel that the answer to all of this identity security in the world is helping people discover and develop and practice and live out good values. And if we can start with our young generation, then maybe they won't have to go through all of the rigmarole that we've had to go through. Okay. Those of us who've got a few battle scars. All right. Now, there's a difference between a high trust culture and a low trust culture, and you can see this all around the world, okay? If a country has a high trust culture, amongst the population, when there's a problem, and y'all, there is always problems. There are always problems, okay? And when there's a problem in a high trust culture, whether it's a country or a company or your family, the people in that country or in that organization or in that community or in that family, they say, what can we do? Oh my goodness, what can we do? Oh my goodness, we got to do something, right? On the flip side, in a low trust culture, accusation begins. So in a low trust culture, whether it's a country, a company, your family, accusation begins. People point to others. Oh, you failed us. You failed us. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not, oh, what can we do? It's your fault. That's what happens in a low trust culture. And so now we're contextually beginning to understand. I hope you've seen today, as we've gone through this today, why we are where we are today. And knowing why we are where we are today is very important, because see, leaders do see more than others see. And the good news is now we have an answer. We have an answer. And the answer is in knowing that our time is now. The answer is in deciding to be leaders who will rise to the occasion. The answer is trust, community, and transformation. And that transformation starts one person at a time. That trust is developed one relationship at a time. And communities are changed from the inside out, one relationship at a time. And it all begins with you making a decision to seize this season of impact and significance. I am specifically looking for only 8 entrepreneurs who are in business, not just to make money, y'all, but to make money making a difference in their communities. This is a free 6-week mastermind journey that is going to ignite this process of transformation within you and then equip you to ignite this transformation in others. You'll learn how to develop trust first in yourself, because a lot of us don't trust ourselves, right? A lot of us don't trust ourselves that we're really going to do what we say we're going to do. How many times have we said, oh, I'm going to get this done and get that done. I'm going to wake up and work out and study my Bible, and then we don't do it, right? So the first step is building trust in ourselves. And then we also look at how to attract, build, and retain trustworthy community networks to help you change your world. Now, if you are one of my 8 entrepreneurs, all right, I want you to go to rebrand.ly/CYW21 and register for this free mastermind. I'm going to put this comment up, and I want you guys to register because I'm ready to change the world. And I hope that you will join me in doing so. That is all I have for you today. I'm JJ Conway. Y'all take care and be blessed.